Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor. I'm live here with Steph the Alter Nerd, and my God, we have so much Britney updates to give you all. Sorry we're starting a little later today, but there's just been so much being unpacked today that I want to try and get it to you all. I'm going to have to do some more stuff tomorrow. Guys, it's been crazy. So many legal docs just dropped that we're going to try and get through. It's a lot of them. I'll give you sort of a summary at the beginning of this video. But just as we went live, right before we were going live, sorry for the delay because Steph, you just sent me a brand new Britney post. And we have to take a moment to react to this before we even get into the court documents. So as people are getting in the building, we will go through the court documents. But we have to go through the Steph. When you saw this, how crazy was this?
Like one thing came to mind. Target destroyed. Oh my goodness. Yes, I am so living for Queen Britney taking no F's and going all savage on Team Con. I'm here for it. She absolutely deserves to go completely raging savage on all these mofos. So
well, we reported on this first, so she leaned in, guys. She went even harder than before. So we had posted this Instagram before, so if you thought you read this already, you didn't, because it starts with something we already shared, but she goes even harder. So here we go. Let's start there. I flew home to Jamie Lynn on the couch watching her TV shows right after Justin and I broke up. I was a ghost there. I had worked my whole life, and I didn't know how to be served by mama. Sit there and get served the chocolate milkshakes with the perfectly crushed ice with the secret chunky sugar. Meanwhile, Jamie Lynn is 12. She indulges with the TV for hours, then goes to lay out on a raft at the pool. I'm in shock because this was never my life. Justin's family was all I knew for many years. Things were different now, and Jamie Lynn had a new Nickelodeon show. All I remember saying was, damn. How the hell does a 12-year-old land a Nickelodeon show? I'll tell you, it's because she was your sister, and that's how she got that gig. Thank you for finally just saying it out loud, Britney. Well, I never got my iced chocolate drink. I mean, yeah, I've grown up, right? I'm a grown-up, right? But then maybe I need a little support. It was a People magazine cover. The People show up, and as Jamie Lynn says, I was scared. Yeah, my mama was on a pain medication and I could barely hold a conversation, and her mama could barely hold a conversation in the house because her and dad split and she was more messed up than anything. I remember her sitting on the floor in a conversation and she never got up. And I'm sorry, Jamie Lynn, I wasn't strong enough to do what I should have done, which was slapped you and mama right across your effing faces. And why do I say that, you selfish little brat? Can we take a moment there and just hallelujah? To throw the finally call it for what it is. Say it with your chest, Britney. We got your back on this. She's been holding this in, Steph. Let me repeat that. Why do I say this, you selfish little brat? Saying how weird and dumb it was that I bought a house for mama? She was so proud, and you told that interview girl that it was just weird? I guess I will just walk in these halls. Why did you say that? And why are you watching your at-length interview really 2 hours or more? And the topic about the knife, which is ironically the only lie you've ever told in your whole life. Well, Britney, that might not be true. You're thinking too nicely of your sister. No, I think she's telling a lot of lies here. You just are unaware. You haven't read the book. Why is that conversation 20 minutes? And the most degrading to me, but you don't want to keep talking about it because you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Yet you linger forever saying you felt unsafe with me and weird. F you, Jamie Lynn. But she didn't just say F. She said the whole word. I'm just being nice here. My mouth was on the floor the way you talked back to mama when I came home. Shocked out of my mind. You were effing hateful to her. And I know mama had been lazy with me, but I'm sorry, you deserved way more than a purse knocked at you by mama. She should have whipped your ass. Poor mama took it to just like I did in the end, took it too. Just like I did in the end. She worshipped you too much. I know, but if you came out of my stomach, I would have popped the S out of your little ass. When I came home and you and your little friends all thought I wasn't cool, you felt bad for me in the breakup. Hell no, you didn't. You and your friends all dyed your hair like Christina Aguilera, and you would no longer play with me anymore. Oh, shit. shit. I never shut you out, ever. I get it, you were 12, but you were effing hateful to mama, being cool with your stupid dark hair. You can paint it however you like, but dear child, you shut me out when I needed you the most. Writing your book saying I wasn't like your mom anymore? No, you hurt me. Whew. Now that, Steph, I've used the term scorched earth on my thumbnails and titles against videos against Jamie Lynn, but I think that one was pretty damn scorched earth. I've never seen it get that scorched before. This is fire. She's unleashing. What are your thoughts as you see this?
Scorched earth, scorched universe. She's gone universally scorched on her backside. And oh my goodness, guys, this is 13, 14 years of pent up anger, frustration, quite rightly. This is just, to me, a teensy freaking peek behind the curtain of what Britney's feeling right now. Because if you think this is all her anger and all her frustrations coming out, I'll tell you something, she gone scorched universe on her backside? I would say so. However, there's going to be more. So going to be more. And as this unfolds, we're going to learn more and more and more about what she's been through, what these mofos have put her through, and she's going to be standing up for herself a heck of a lot more. It's her time to fight back. Hell yes, I am so for this. Queen Britney. Hashtag believe Britney.
Believe
yes.
Britney. Oh my God, it's so nice because Jamie Lynn's out there talking about it's important to use your voice, yeah, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, as Emily Lamarca comments, now this is what speaking your truth looks like. She's been holding this in, as you said. She's been bursting, wanting to let this out. And she's still playing the same, I'll let the lawyers do it, yada, yada, yada. But Jamie Lynn, who it's so clear when you read the book, Steph. When you read this book, the narcissism, the lack of empathy by Jamie Lynn, it's me. It's like maddening. I know it seems like I got a lot of money, that $2,000 to read the book, but guys, I needed it. I needed to justify because that was a chore to get through because she's the worst. Beyond just a bad writer and liar and all these things, like she's just has no empathy or it seems to care at all about anybody but herself. And so to see Jamie Lynn just prodding in her brattiness, to quote Britney, brat is the best word I can think of after everything I'm looking at. And she admits it from time to time. So like, yeah, I'm precocious. Yeah. No, you're a brat. You were a brat your whole life, and you're focused on your celebritydom. When you were a brat, you can't, and that's the heyday. It's like, people in high school who are the bully or like the cheerleader, and then they grow up in life and they can never ever be like they were in high school. That's Jamie Lynn Spears. Her Zoe 101 days was the pinnacle. She got knocked up, and then suddenly nobody cared anymore, and, game over. And she cannot stand the fact that people still love and respect her sister. At one point in the book, Steph, she goes like, I wish Britney would just quit and come back home to Louisiana. She's so selfish. So to see the brattiness of Jamie Lynn, this book tour and everything else, finally empower Britney to use her voice, it is inspiring. It is inspiring because I was worried. Britney wasn't going to be strong enough to. I don't know how anyone could be, Steph. What she's going through right now is insane. Everyone in your family not only doing everything they did, but then after it's been exposed, like pretending like it didn't happen and like, yep, she's erratic, she's paranoid. That's Britney, her and her episodes, and it's getting mainstream media play again. It's like broken record. Like people are still letting it all happen. So to see the strength in this woman right now, say enough is enough, to have the power of Rosengart behind her and say, I'm not going to be bullied, for her to like go back and fight like this, which she's now doing, defamation, all this. I can't applaud loud enough for her. And yes, hashtag believe Britney. We got to stand up for this. It's insane, guys, what's happening to her. And I know it seems like just drama and everything else, but no, this is awful. This is awful what's happening to this woman, and they're still trying to get away with it, and we can't let them get away with it. So that's perfect segue now into what we can't let them get away with, because huge revelation is dropped today about her father. And what's so weird, Steph, is Jamie's out there, complaining and bitching about her life and yada, yada, yada. Why aren't they just uniting on the common enemy? And Jamie Lynn could score so many points. It's beyond me. But she can't because she's so engripped with her father. And it turns out her own husband, yes, guys, as we reported earlier today as well, I think I closed it. Her own husband, Jamie, yes, she's married to a Jamie. Jamie was taking hundreds of thousands of dollars of Britney's money for his security firm. And it makes me wonder, Steph, how much of that illegal security that now the FBI has corroborated on and said, yes, her dad was spying on her. It makes me wonder, how much did James Watson have to say with that? You know what I mean? Again, speculating here, there's no proof of that yet. But James Watson worked for an IT security firm and was getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, which we're going to get through, guys. And we're supposed to just think that these aren't connected, Steph? I mean, am I crazy? Or does this seem like a logical conclusion?
Seems quite logical to me. Quite a reasonable assumption to make. And I would make one correction in terms of what you've mentioned there. Common enemy, Britney Spears and Jamie Lynn. Jamie Lynn is part of the enemy. There's no common enemy about it. She's not with her sister at all. She doesn't stand toe-to-toe, shoulder-to-shoulder with her sister at all. She is firmly chosen Team Con. Now, has there been probably a level of manipulation and control over Jamie Lynn? Hell yeah. However, she is now a grown-ass adult, over 30 years old, with 2 children and a family. She can make her own damn decisions, because she ain't in a conservatorship, so she's got the freedom to do what she wants. There's no common enemy. She is part of the enemy, in my opinion. But there you go.
Totally valid, and I don't disagree with you at all. I just mean in that they were raised by these terrible parents. And the father, to me, is the worst of them all. I think he enabled and encouraged a lot of this to happen with Jamie Lynn, etc. But yes, well said. Jamie Lynn is no longer there's no way for her to come back from this at this point. And I sense and hope Britney sees it now, because she does seem like someone who forgives, right? Who doesn't want to forgive and make up with your family. That's everyone's hopeful goal. But I don't see how you can do it based on the betrayals here. It's unbelievable. But yeah, so James, there's so many Jamies, guys. Jamie Lynn's husband, Jamie, also now allegedly had money. And the biggest takeaway from this document, there's a lot. We're going to go through it all. So get a drink, get ready. We're going to be here for a bit as we go through all these documents. The biggest takeaway is that they brought in an FBI agent, special agent. I have it here. Her name is Shireen Ebadi. And a very impressive background, history, like real deal. And her firm, now she's a former FBI agent, and now she has a firm to basically go through forensic auditing and things of this nature to sort of get to the bottom of all right, what's happening. She also was given access to all the witnesses and the information that they do have so far from Rosengart. She was sort of brought in as this independent third party and special expert, FBI special agent, to go through all the documents and sort of confirm all of our worst fears and, accusations, which she then corroborated and added to. So we're going to go through that document. I do want to take a quick second to thank those of you who donated. We will pause throughout the show to rally through all your support. So if I don't get them immediately, apologies. There's just so much to get through, so it's hard to wreck the momentum of the show. But very quickly, thank you to Amber Whitlock, who became a member. Matt Bond, thank you. Good day, you spiffy pair of legends, you. Kara Froman, no relation to Abe Froman, Sausage King of Chicago, but still lovely. Seems like she's held back a lot for too long, and she's setting it straight now. Hell yeah, Britt. Hell yeah, Kara Froman. So thank you guys for that support. You guys can continue to support the channel and my brain cells for all this Jamie Lynn coverage by hitting the pinned comment link that's there. You can also hit the join button if you want to become a member. Always catch our replays and really just help our independent journalism and commentary here. So thanks to everybody who stepped up, become part of the Popcorn Planet family. We love you. I thank you. I know we're getting heavy into this Jamie Lynn thing, but I really think it's important we devote a lot of attention, especially this week, because I really do believe Lou Taylor, Jamie Lynn Spears, Jamie Spears, they all made a plan to have this book, PR term, the Daddy podcast, all of it to coincide with today's hearing. It's very important that before we even get to this, she's at Lou Taylor and TriStar in the midst of a hearing today, which is going to happen in about an hour. And so today's Zabel's petition for substituted judgment, Jody's motion of seal limit, 12th account current should Jamie get paid, petition for Jamie's attorney's fees, questions about TriStar fees. A lot of sort of important stuff is going to be on the docket today. We're going to see how it goes down. We were going to try and go live, but Christopher had some other busy pressing things. We will give you an update, if not later today, tomorrow. But this is why this and today's drop of data is why Team Con's out there in full force trying to change up the story. That's why Call Her Daddy 2 is all like out. And by the way, Steph, I don't know if you saw the host has now been all over social media hyping up tonight's installment, but it seems very clear she had to edit it. She clearly had to edit it because of the cease and desist, but now she's leveling in and like, we got a lot to say in response, blah, blah, blah. But guys, do not give into it. Do not watch it. They're getting views. They're getting clicks from all of you. And I implore you, don't give it to them. She's a friend to Jamie Lynn. She's a friend to Lou Taylor. And this is sort of a two-part expose to try and really just crap on Britney. And don't have it. Don't fall for it. Don't let that happen. We will take the bullet for you and report on whatever needs to be reported on. But don't let the distractions get to you. Hashtag Believe Britney is imperative this week. And that's why I wanted to make sure we got into all this. All right. So that said, let's get into this document. In fact, I probably need some time codes on this. I'm going to start keeping a track. We're at, I'll put them in there, 16 minutes. Okay. I'm going to put it here to you, Steph, just so I have it. All right. There it is. All right. So let's get through. There's so much to go through. Rosengart and Britney did their own declaration, which is a little long. It's very long. I'll try and speed through some of it, but the thing I really want to take time with here is this declaration by the special prosecutor, the FBI prosecutor, Shireen Abadi, because in this, there's a lot of stuff that sort of confirms a lot of our biggest suspicions. And we're also going to go through, I guess it's this part. There's a declarations. I thought I had it here, actually. There's a document that he made, make sure I have it here, where Rosengart basically requests Jamie confirm or deny, under oath, certain issues. Can someone in the chat, the headline chat, can you find me that document, the one that talks about the relationship with Lou and everything else? Because there's a separate document from the one I have, aside from the objections I want to read through that with you as well. Basically, Steph, Rosengart put together a document of like 70 things that he's demanding Jamie Spears confirm or deny. Like, admit that it's true that you did this. Admit that it's true that you did this. It's a very telling and long document that gets through a lot of this stuff. But let's go through some of the most important things here from the former FBI, because this is a third party now who's stepped up and acknowledging the craziness and seeing it. James P. Spears himself, while acting as conservatorship at the expense of Britney, taking more than $6 million from his daughter's earnings, while paying his numerous lawyers and other millions more, engaged in self-dealing, financial and business mismanagement, engaged in abusive and bullying conduct towards his daughter, deprived his daughter of fundamental civil liberties, including invading her privacy, potentially in violation of California's penal code and federal criminal law, became the subject of a DV restraining order against his own Britney's children, engaged in chronic alcohol abuse, impairing his ability to serve faithfully, had actual or apparent conflicts of interest, and relatedly used his role as conservator to further his own personal business interests. Now, this isn't just Rosengart saying this now. This is now a third-party special counsel, FBI, who has come through to confirm all this. All right, so here's all the summary of...
We're not worthy! We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Wow!
Thank you, Suzanne!
Your integrity is so valued. Thank you, heart, fire.
Thank you. When you tip $50 or close to it on the Stream Elements, interrupts the show. So we will always take a pause to thank our amazingly generous supporter, Suzanne Lamazla. Thank you so much for stepping up and paying for today's show. You are amazing. We support you. Thank you. You value us. You are here. You put your money where your mouth is. So thank you for believing in us and hearing our reports. That means the world to me. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So here's a document from Shireen Abadi. So she is works for Kroll Associates, an intelligence practice in LA. and predominant global investigator of business intelligence. And she is a special agent. She served as special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, complex financial fraud and public corruption cases for more than 10 years. Significant experience interviewing witnesses, analyzing financial tax, other records, and investigating various types of sophisticated fraud, financial crimes. In 2017, I was selected by Robert Mueller to serve as in special counsel's office. Also went to the investigation of Paul Manafort, former campaign manager of Trump, Gulfstream CFO. Anyway, bottom line, Steph, it's very clear. This woman knows what she's doing. Huge experience in this, knows how to look into this sort of stuff. Numerous honors, awards, including the FBI Medal of Excellence, FBI's highest honors. I mean, this woman is no joke. And she's the one tasked with going through all of this to figure out, did Jamie Spears do something illegal and crazy. Facts and conclusions set forth below are based on my personal review to date of the public records, research documents obtained from John Zabel, who's the current conservator, and forensic analysis of financial data performed by Kroll, as well as witness interviews. This does not include or represent all information known to me about Mr. Spears' wrongdoing, potential criminal misconduct, etc., etc. At the time that Mr. Spears took on fiduciary responsibilities for the welfare of his daughter, Britney Jean Spears, and her estate, he already had a history of reported violent outbursts, alcohol abuse, financial mismanagement, which included his own bankruptcy. As set forth herein, this pattern of misconduct continued through the conservatorship at the detriment of Miss Spears, Britney, and the estate. Jamie used his role as conservator to, I'm going to call him Big Jamie so we know, because there's a lot of them. Big Jamie used his role as conservator to enrich himself to those close to him or useful to him at the expense of his daughter and the estate. He has often worked to rid Britney's inner circle of individuals willing to support or speak on her behalf. He awarded multi-million-dollar contracts to his friends and those to whom he was indebted, offering them sizable percentage of his daughter's earnings. He had undisclosed conflicts of interest and engaged in self-dealing with his daughter's assets. He used estate assets to pay personal expenses for himself and his associates, including legal fees incurred after an altercation with Britney's children, leading to a restraining order against him, and even went so far to surreptitiously record and capture his daughter's most private communications, including attorney-client communications with her prior court-appointed attorney and private conversations in her bedroom. He did all of this on the heels of serious financial troubles, manifesting in bankruptcy while paying himself millions of dollars from his daughter's estate. Whew! Now this is the third party, Steph. Would you feel comfortable knowing that this woman's at your heels, confirming everything, all this? Before we even get into the details, what are your reactions so far?
Oof. Yes. She's taking no prisoners. She's seeing it as it is. She's looking at the facts and she's turning around and she's saying, allegedly, so we don't get sued, Jim Spears, Big Jamie, you're an evil div. You have no business whatsoever because of your conflicts of interest and your history of financial mismanagement and violent outbursts, this, that, and the other, to be in charge of such a large, complex conservatorship. But however you were, and when you were in charge, dude, you were dodgy as hell. I think this, to me, as we go through it, in my mind at the moment, I have an image of just a mic drop with this woman. Like, she's really bringing it. She knows her shiz, and I don't think she's the kind of lady that you'd want to be on the wrong side of.
No. Well said. I couldn't agree more. So so she goes through more of this. So she breaks down all of this more specifically. So get ready, get a snack. This is a good read. Big Jamie had a history of violence and alcoholism. According to reports that I deemed credible, Big Jamie has a history of violent behavior. When his ex-wife, Lynn Spears, originally filed for divorce, she requested a restraining order against him, stating that she feared he would become angry when served with divorce papers, and that he would harass and do mean things, bad things to her, especially if he had been drinking. In Lynn Spears' memoir, she wrote that Big Jamie started using alcohol heavily in 1977. He would disappear on week-long benders and become verbally awful when he drank. Big Jamie's own brother, Willie Spears, recounted several instances of his bad behavior, alcoholism, including one occurring during Britney's childhood. According to Willie, one time Jamie was drunk and tried to drive off with Britney in the car. She was no more than 5 years old. I tried to stop him, so I reached in the trunk to grab the keys from the ignition, and he punched me. But yeah, grabbing Jamie Lynn with the knife and saying I'm scared. Way worse, right, Steph? Oh my God, what a lunatic. This is the history that this woman comes from, and Jamie's out there. Jamie Lynn, she grabbed me once and said she was scared. I was a child. Yeah, and here Britney, taken at 5 and run off in a car with her drunken father and almost killed. I tried to stop him, so I reached in the truck to grab the keys from the ignition, and he punched me. Miss Lynn's former business partner and celebrity chef Bobby Oakes also related an event in 2002 when Mr. Spears, drunk or high, became unhinged, screaming and hollering. Sounds like erratic behavior to me, real erratic behavior. Mr. Oakes reported that Big Jamie was in my face and I was expecting any minute he was going to get physical. His daughter, Jamie Lynn, also recounted Mr. Big Jamie's decades-long alcoholism. Her upcoming memoir recounts that. I love that they're using her own book against her now to get to her dad. He spent most of my life in that cycle of ruinous behavior. His bouts of drinking caused me periods of torment and sorrow. It created a lot of anxiety. Hardest part was, could I trust you? Are you drinking? Using Jamie Lynn's own words against her in this case. Oh, chef's kiss. Bravo, team. Big Jamie eventually went to rehab for his alcohol addiction, but his drinking and abusive behavior continued during his tenure as conservator. According to emails, media reports, statements by attorneys representing the Federline family, who's not mentioned much in Jamie Lynn's book, I wonder why, police report and DV restraining order was filed against Big Jamie after an encounter in October 2019 where Mr. Spears shook his 13-year-old grandson in the presence of his other younger grandson. Restraining order also was reported to law enforcement authorities. So there you go. How can someone be the head of a conservatorship of his daughter when he can't even be around her own kids? That's how effed up this was getting and how Big Jamie kept covering things up. Mr. Spears has a history of mismanaging his personal finances before he took over management of Miss Britney's estate. Mr. Spears' long history of these mismanagement, including bankruptcy, mortgages, defaults, state and federal tax liens, failed business ventures. From 1991 to 2000, Big Jamie had several state and federal tax liens and one judgment filed against him. In October 1994, First Guarantee Bank won a judgment against Big Jamie and his wife in the amount of $51,000 in connection with the default of their mortgage. To satisfy the judgment, the sheriff's office seized a portion of his land in Kentwood. In June 1996, the sheriff's office also seized a portion of property containing Lynn's childhood home, along with Britney's childhood home, along with 2 trucks and several pieces of construction machinery to satisfy a second credit default to the bank of $58,000. Seems like a good businessman. He really knew what he was doing. In July 1998, Big Jamie filed for bankruptcy. Mr. Spears summed up his financial woes, stating that he squandered his money on wild women and beer and was all but broke. This was a 2002 interview. In a publicity-filled 2008 petition requesting that he be compensated for his new role as conservator, Big Jamie told the court that he had been working as a private chef and caterer prior to the conservatorship, but had to forego all means of employment to devote his full time and attention to caring for his daughter and her affairs. Despite these claims, it does not appear that Mr. Spears had any stable employment or income in the years immediately prior to the conservatorship. There is some indication he may have worked at a restaurant owned by Jamie and Oakes in 2002, the chili one that he had in Malibu. But according to Oakes, Mr. Spears had no ownership or authority in the endeavor. There's also media reports of Mr. Spears. This is the one working with Joseph at a smoothie shop in Venice from late 2004. But the other guy is quoted as saying that the position was an attempt at Big Jamie getting his life back together after his post-divorce alcoholic tailspin and subsequent rehab stint. So it's important we pause there for a second, Steph, because he's claiming he needs to get paid by the conservatorship because he's unable to be a chef anymore or do the jobs that he does, Steph, which is insane because the auditor, the FBI special counsel is like, yeah, he never had a job. He never actually had anything to lose before taking on this new conservatorship, so therefore it's not affecting it. You know what I mean?
See, to me, I looked into, the quite a few months back now, last year, into the ethics of conservatorship. And there was what the UK would term like a working party that did some research in terms of the ethics of the conservatorship and what ethics need to be upheld by the conservator when looking after a conservatee. And it was actually this report, I think it was like in the late 80s, 89 or something, was actually submitted to the House of Representatives and all that malarkey. And in it, one of the things that it says is that the conservator has to make sure that they are like above reproach, make sure that they are good standing of character in order to be a conservator in the first place. So for me, with an ex-FBI special agent turning round and saying, look at his history, it's very simply, he was in a lot of debt. He had no idea how to deal with money. He was declared bankrupt. He had so many orders against him, not only from financial institutions, but the freaking tax man himself. To me, how the hell did the courts originally decide, do you know what, who would be a really, really good conservator to look after Britney Spears' estate and financial affairs? That guy! How did that happen? That's all that's running through my head right now. It's nuts with a capital N.
Well said. I don't know either, and clearly this special counsel doesn't get it either. So again, they go more into the businesses, as he was going to do a launch of an app, yada yada yada. That also failed. All of it was dissolved shortly before the conservatorship, or after the conservatorship began, so there was no losses he had. Mr. Spears routinely acted in his own interests rather than his daughter's. The conservatorship originated from an ethically conflicted relationship. As reported by the New York Times, prior to the start of the conservatorship, Mr. Spears had borrowed, this is damning, guys, get ready. Mr. Spears borrowed $40,000 from TriStar Sports Entertainment Group, TriStar, a then obscure business management company with only a few clients, owned by Big Jamie's friend, Lou Taylor. After initially denying it, counsel for Big Jamie conceded the existence of this loan. In view of Big Jamie's prior bankruptcy and his financial situation at the time, that is before he reaped millions of dollars as the conservatorship, the $40,000 loan from TriStar represented a significant amount of money for Big Jamie, particularly in 2008. Big Jamie's access to his daughter and her substantial earning power presented a significant business opportunity for Lou Taylor and then the then fledgling TriStar company. It was against this backdrop that Mr. Big Jamie, after consulting with Lou Taylor, petitioned for the creation of a conservatorship and therefore installed TriStar as Britney's business manager. As discussed further below, based on the analysis of data made available by TriStar, by the FBI's company, her counsel's company, based on the data made available by TriStar via QuickBooks, Big Jamie awarded TriStar multi-million-dollar commissions and fees from his daughter's earnings. To be clear, TriStar has nevertheless still failed and refused to answer the simple basic question that Kroll and Ms. Spears' counsel have repeatedly asked: how much money did TriStar make from Britney Spears or her estate? TriStar has instead referred, the company and counsel to 13 years of disjointed, complex, and incomplete accountings, while also providing the above referenced information via its own unverified QuickBooks software. Further, the accounting expressly note that they are incomplete because it would be impractical to fit the business activities and transactions of Britney into the form of the traditional accounting. So they're going to be like, oh, yeah, it's impossible to track what we paid for things for Britney. No, she was just too big of a client for us. Bullshit. For example, they do not cover Britney's assets held outside the estate, and entities formed and the conservatorship was established are not reflected in the inventories. Moreover, the account statements commonly show only the total balance of inflows and outflows, not the individual transactions, making it impossible in many cases to discern the actual purpose of receipt, of recipient, of disbursement from the estate. Because of this date, Kroll is not in a position to independently verify TriStar's take return earnings. So that's really important because they're like, there's a lot of money they take that we already know, but there's potentially so much more that they were able to pocket without leaving any receipts, is what they're alleging here. This is the FBI person. And again, remember this, all of this set up with Jamie, Big Jamie, owing them 40 grand. So he owes them a debt, Steph. He put TriStar's in this position of power. Well, Big Jamie, you owe us the $40,000. What are we going to do? Enter Lou Taylor, and brilliantly, in a villainous way, right? Lou Taylor knows exactly how to pounce in here and get her money back, 100-fold. The incoming president sorry, you want to say something?
Yeah, from what you've just read, there's something that doesn't make sense to me that I don't think is really, from what I've kind of kept up on, has really been noted. So, TriStar, based on this document, has provided incomplete missing data when it comes to their accounts. Their ingoings, their outgoings related to their financial relationship with Britney Spears' estate and the conservatorship, right? Okay. This conservatorship lasted 13, 14 years. They've been there since day one in terms of getting a financial benefit from the conservatorship because she was quickly installed as her business manager, right? Okay. This is what I don't get. Where is the IRS and the SEC? Because in the UK, the way it works is the equivalent in the UK is the HMRC. I'm going to just call them all the taxman, right? Taxman in England, taxman in America. If you provide incomplete accounts with data missing, right, they will go so far up your backside, you will wish you've had a colonoscopy rather than them. Do you know what I mean? So if TriStar is unable to, for whatever reason, provide clear, full accounts of the years they spent in this conservatorship earning from Britney Spears' estate, where is the IRS, the SEC, the taxman in all of this? Because by having information that's missing, it could potentially lead to one or two things in terms of, what I think's going on. This is my opinion, my conspiracy, my theory, my whatever. So don't come for me when it comes to cease and desist, legal action and all that lot, because to you. Either they are inept and unable to keep up and maintain their bookkeeping records, which in the UK is a crime within itself. That's a big freaking no-no. Or potentially, my opinion, my conspiracy, my theory, my whatever, there's information missing because they don't want you to know the information that they're trying to hide.
There's definitely information missing.
Well, my conspiracy, my opinion, my theory, my whatever, because we know how these people can operate when it comes to, pressing that cease and desist, we're going to sue you kind of thing, not on my freaking watch. To me, either way, providing incomplete documentation is a big, massive, huge red flag. So I wonder what's going on in terms of the perspective and the actions at the IRS and the SEC. Because that's got to have come to their attention, surely.
The IRS needs to just do a massive audit on TriStar, and I thought they were, but well said. I mean, maybe that's all secret part of Rosengart's plan, too, of like, hey, IRS, see all this money that have you checked on this? Because that's never fun for a company like TriStar. But good question. I don't know the answers, but well said. All right, getting back into it. So Spears encouraged engagement at TriStar under these circumstances reeks of conflict of interest, raises troubling questions. Is the conservator making decisions in the best interest of the conservatee or the business manager who they owe a debt to? That's such an important part to remember here, and good on the legal team and the FBI special counsel to acknowledge this. Additionally, the arrangement is violative of Rule 7105, whatever, of the standards of conduct of the conservative estate. So again, now he's in violation. Big Jamie's conflict of interest with respect to Lou Taylor continued beyond instilling TriStar as business manager for Miss Spears' estate. From 2009 to 2013, Mr. Spears allowed Stonebridge Investment, Stonebridge, an entity with 50% owned by Lou Taylor, to manage a portion of Britney's assets. Information obtained from Stonebridge shows that Britney's assets were dispersed from these accounts at Big Jamie's express direction in 2013. The same year, public records show that Lou Taylor sold her 50% share of Stonebridge on at least 2 occasions during that time that Lou Taylor Stonebridge managed these assets. Co-conservator Andrew Wallet expressed concerns with these funds being under Stonebridge's control. So not only was, Lou Taylor and TriStar getting it there, they were double dipping now by creating these other investment firms and other entities to make more money. And of course, is any of this, do we have receipts? Can we verify? No. And so while we're, don't let me go off Lou Taylor because I'm going to add something here for everyone to enjoy. But Miss Big Jamie used Britney Spears' estate to enrich himself and those loyal or useful to him. Some of Big Jamie's first moves as temporary conservatorship in 2008 were to rid Britney's circle of individuals willing to advocate on her behalf in the face of his and TriStar's demands. I mean, these are huge things to loft out there. So it's so nice to finally hear someone saying it, Steph, As noted above, Big Jamie installed his friend Lou Taylor and her company TriStar as business manager for the estate. At the time, Miss Lou Taylor, as Jamie Lynn calls her, and TriStar were already registered agents for one of Big Jamie's business entities and were also business manager for Miss Spears' sister, Jamie Lynn Spears. As noted above, Big Jamie was indebted to TriStar from a personal loan in early 2008. Big Jamie also replaced his daughter's prior security detail with Black Block Security, owned by his friend, Idan Yamini, which, according to the same above referenced QuickBooks data reviewed by Kroll, was ultimately paid almost $6 million from Miss Spears' estate. Now, before I keep going on to that, there's something here I do want to mention. So this is the document. I found it. Thank you, Headline Group. It was in a document I had at the end. These are the requests for admission of James P. Spears that Rosengart has put out there. And there's a lot of them. A lot of it is amazing. But there's one, Steph, I do, and I may make a later video about this because everyone's talking about this. A lot of stuff about TriStar, etc. But admit that Britney Jeans had no legal obligation to pay the legal fees incurred by Lou Taylor, blah, yada, yada. Number 49 has all the fans talking. Request for admission, admit that when you were conservator of the state, you had a romantic relationship with Lou Taylor. Bum, bum, bum. And I buy it so hard. It makes so much sense that both or one of them is using this against the other as people of faith, massive religious people. And sorry, not judging all, but sometimes people of faith are huge hypocrites. It's just the sad reality. And I'm looking at 2 hypocrites right here. And I think they were using the religion and all the other things to better themselves, because anybody who believes in God and all that stuff the right way would never do what they're doing to poor Britney and everyone else. These 2 people are devils. They're not good people, in my opinion. But it goes on to express that they not only that, but they paid for a trip to go get baptized. I thought I had it here. It's unbelievable. That baptism photo I just showed you. Another one on here where that they paid for the trip on Britney's dime to go do that. I can't seem to find.
Can you
it here.
Control F to?
No, it's a.
Put in the word.
Anyway, trust me, it's there. It was insane as I read it. If someone wants to tell me what number it was in the chat, I will go find it. But it's all just proving the point of just how much shadiness was happening on their watch. It's crazy. Lucifer, as we call her, Lucifer. I mean, putting this in there is so brilliant, Steph, because this is how you get them to really sweat. Now, Lynn's sweating. Miss Lou is how people are talking about. You had an affair with him. The eyes and the hallways. She's walking down the work. This is one of those things that brilliant move. Just bury that in the document. Little slanderous, little drama. And that one is going to really burn at a few people, I personally think. So, and doesn't surprise any of us. Are you surprised by that, Steph?
Nah, not at all. Also, as well, isn't she like head of like a religious kind of group or something like that? Because let's put it this way, adultery, when it comes to certain religious groups that are quite conservative, not smiled upon very fondly. Let's put it that way. Hypocrites. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Some of them
Dude,
can
he
be.
He was totally dipping that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, when you know the story that Britney allegedly says Lou Taylor came in like a crazy person trying to exorcise her house of demons. And Big Jamie sort of tricked her into the house, got her in the house, and then tried to complete stranger breaking into Britney's house. This is Lou Taylor, and performing an exorcism. And then Britney was like scared of her life, like, who is this woman? And then she starts showing up more and more because of her dad. And Britney tries to like warn her, like, this woman's a crazy stalker fan. I don't want her around. And they ignore her. And then Lou gets more and more power. Lou befriends Jamie Lynn, gets so tight, becomes her second mama. Jamie Lynn has a lot of second mamas, Steph. This girl's got some serious insecure issues, daddy issues, etc. But Miss Lou wrapped those talons in there. And of course, brilliant move by her part. You know, it's like, brilliant's a mean word, but you know what I mean? Sometimes the bad guys can make brilliant steps to, do their plan. And it's so clear to me the villainous moves Lou's been doing. She was playing a long con, man. A long con. And the cards are starting to waver. Only if we all step up and have the guts to call them out. Because now, thanks to Britney's money, they've compiled a pretty big business model. And they got a lot of powerful people in their Rolodex. And so it'll be very interesting to see if we can really get damage to them and get some of these powerful celebrities. And I think at some point, we're going to have to start putting pressure on them to remove themselves from TriStar Entertainment, because the fact that TriStar was built on the blood of Britney Spears, not okay with me. Not okay with me at all. I'm not going to stay silent on that one. Sorry, Lou. I guess I'm in trouble, Steph. All of this is speculation warning, so.
Yes, our opinion, our conspiracy, our theories, our whatever.
All right, so there you go about Lou. So now let's keep going. There's still tons more. Excuse me, as I'm still getting over my. Although Mr. Spears, Big Jamie, contended that his daughter needed the conservatorship because she was incapable of caring for herself or her affairs, Big Jamie was intent on ensuring that she continued to generate significant earnings, a sizable portion of which he distributed to himself and those within his inner circle. Almost immediately after the conservatorship was made permanent, he and Miss Spears embark on an international tour, and he has positioned the court to be paid a percentage of the tour's gross revenue, in addition to the already handsome six-figure salary he was paid. I'll never understand it. He's put in to protect Britney. Britney's going through episodes, right, according to Jamie Lynn. Erratic behavior, all this stuff. And they just throw her on tour immediately through an international tour. How is that good for her health if that's what they're really worried about, right? And then on top of that, they allowed that to happen. They allowed him to keep getting more and more money while they put her to work. It's unfathomable how this isn't like everyone's screaming on the rooftops about the unjust of this. It's insane right out the gate. All right, getting back in the document, although Mr. Spears contended that his daughter needed the conservatorship because she was incapable of caring for herself or her affairs, Mr. Spears was intent on ensuring that she continued to earn significant earnings, sizable portion which he distributed to himself and those within his inner circle. Almost immediately after conservatorship was made permanent, he went on the international tour, and he petitioned the court to be paid a percentage of the tour's gross, including his already handsome six-figure salary. This arrangement allowed him to profit directly from Britney's labor and incentivized him to maximize Britney's output, regardless of whether that and her exhausting schedule were in her best interests. Throughout the conservatorship, Big Jamie committed his daughter to record multiple studio albums and perform on several additional tours, including a multi-year residency in Las Vegas, among countless other endeavors, until Britney finally refused in 2019 to continue working on such a grueling schedule. Britney's former music director, Mark Delacour, who worked closely with Miss Spears on both the circus and Las Vegas residency and has worked with other music superstars, told me that Mr. Spears worked his daughter to the bone, and she would often and was understandably exhausted from the workload. He recounted several instances in which Britney told him she was so tired and just needed a break or to sleep. Meanwhile, Jamie Lynn's over there in the pool sipping up milkshakes and going to softball games. Oh, that hardworking girl. He recounted several instances in which Britney told him she was so tired just needed a break or to sleep. Delacour also described how Big Jamie and TriStar would routinely force Britney against her wishes to sing first thing in the morning. Now, this part's really depressing to read. Something he said was very uncommon in the industry that no singer should be forced to do, certainly against his or her wishes. To his dismay, Mr. Delacour was told by Britney's team that her early morning work was scheduled around her lithium doses in order to take advantage of the hours when she was supposedly most productive as a result of the lithium medication she was forced to take, which upon information and belief is a very strong and antiquated drug. Oh, that gives me shivers of just disgust. He routinely removed individuals who were not loyal to him. Based on my investigation, this is the FBI special counsel, remember, Jamie often sought to silence individuals who spoke out against him or the conservatorship. For example, Britney's former assistant and longtime friend, Felicia, we love you, Felicia, explained that upon gaining control of his daughter's affairs, Big Jamie fired her business manager and eventually prevented Felicia from being near Britney. This is all in that documentary, which if you haven't watched on Hulu, the second one, it's unbelievably depressing. She had been close to Britney since she was a child, often wasn't even allowed to have a conversation with Britney without others present. She was eventually told by Big Jamie that she needed to leave because Britney did not want her there. Felicia later learned this was a lie to keep her away from Britney. Similarly, Britney's former wardrobe coordinator, Tish Yates, revealed that Britney was tortured and recounted the instances in which Britney did try to stand up for herself. Big Jamie would threaten to keep her from seeing her young sons as means of control. Oh, that pisses me off. Yates was also abruptly left go after an incident when she tried to help Britney. Similarly, Mr. Delacour, who had worked for Britney for almost 20 years, was suddenly terminated in the middle of a tour for no specified reason, although it was apparent that it was because Big Jamie was trying to punish Britney by removing anyone with whom she was close or confided. Britney's tour manager, Dan George, also observed similar controlling conduct, saying the first rule of the conservatorship was that you don't talk about the conservatorship. He said he was warned, be careful, don't get too close. People have a way of disappearing. Oof. Big Jamie also replaced Britney's former nanny, Lourdes Torres. Media reports later indicated that Torres left her job with Britney because she was so disturbed by what was being done to Britney and how she was being emotionally manipulated by the conservatorship. Furthermore, Alex Vlaslov, the former employee of Black Box Security, told me that anyone on Britney's security detail who was sympathetic to Britney or who questioned any of the extreme measures taken to control and subjugate her were removed. Oh, I just got to pause there because it's getting heavy, Steph. I mean, the kids always got to me, but not only were they dangling access to her own children, they were just making her go crazy, gaslighting her, also by removing anybody close to her and then telling Britney that they didn't want to be around her. Imagine the psychological impact that's going to have long term when everybody you think you're opening up to just suddenly disappears from your life. And this was in the best interest of Britney Spears. She's just erratic and crazy and deserved it. Oh my God, it makes me go, my blood boil. Thoughts?
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you there, mate. The other thing that kind of sprung out to me from what you've read there is, and I don't say this lightly, guys, no malicious subtext to any races or anything like that. Slavery. Pure, my opinion, my conspiracy, my theory, my whatever. She was subjugated to slavery by the conservatorship.
Yeah, I mean, this was human trafficking is really what it was.
Human trafficking, slavery, the whole lot. in my opinion, my conspiracy, my theory, my whatever. And oh my goodness, it's just everywhere you turn as to how they treated Britney. There is so it's like they couldn't help themselves. They couldn't help themselves but be, in my opinion, evil scum of the freaking universe that need to be put away and punished for a very, very long time, because there's a special place in freaking hell from what they've done to Britney and her children and her friends as well. And I know that we haven't brought this up, but I'm seeing it on social media, which is really, really good. The tide is turning for Mr. Sam Lutfi, and a lot of things that are coming out are proving Sam Lutfi was right all along, and that he was not the villain, but actually, in my opinion, he was a freaking hero, and he was trying all along, right from the outset, to try and free Britney.
Yeah, it's funny.
And try and do what he could.
He's still out there doing it, Steph.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, damn right. And it's really, really, really nice now to see a lot of people on social media, because I'm noticing it now, turning around and looking at Sam Lutfi and thinking, do you know what? You're not actually that evil SOB that you were made out to be by Team Con. You know, so it's, oh, she was a slave. She was treated less than a human being. She was treated as a freaking ATM bloody machine, in my opinion. It's absolutely freaking disgusting. They all need to go to jail. They all need to rot there for the rest of their lives. They need all their money, all their assets, both liquid and fixed, in my opinion, taken away and given back to Britney. Because do you know what? Everything that they've got, all the money, all the fixed assets, all the liquid assets, in my opinion, my conspiracy, my theory, my whatever, is actually Britney's. And they need to give it back to her. And they need to bend down on their damn freaking knees and beg for forgiveness from the queen that is Queen Britney. Oh my goodness. You read this and you just get angrier and angrier and angrier. It's what's happening to me right now.
I love hearing the passion. Say it with your chest, as we say, right? Say it with your chest, Britney. Get it out.
Yes!
Get it out for you. And just real quick, since you brought up Sam Lutfi, yeah, he's already, if you're following him on Twitter, Instagram, come on, Sam, come on the show. Enough is enough. It's time for the redemption tour, Sam. Go tell him to come on Popcorn Planet. We will come with loved, and we will be careful. It is not, he can say speculation as often as he wants. But here he is talking again. He explains, this is her uncle, Jamie's brother. I won't last much longer, but if you do need to tell her that Daddy made me move all her belongings to a big storage here, all the tour storage and all of her belongings from her homes. Well, he made me sign papers swearing secrecy. Dude, the Spearses are all going to they're all giving up in a minute. They're all done. They're all toast. Jamie Lynn can keep thinking that she's doing good on the book, but I can't imagine they are not just sweating like crazy right now, especially as we get to the point that it looks like her own husband was caught taking money, which she's going to deny. She's just going to deny it, Steph. But, whew, I can't wait to look into that. All right, well, let's keep this moving.
Yes.
So, black box security, if you're unfamiliar, this and to what's his name, the hero of it all. His name is Alex Vlaslov, who's the whistleblower who was doing his job, and then it got weirder and weirder. And to his credit, when he was told to remove something that was incredibly don't let anyone see, he kept a copy, and then he went to the New York Times and made sure to help Britney, because he realized this wasn't just a security gig. This was a terrible crime. On September 24th, New York Post published a documentary front-page expose, the surveillance apparatus that surrounded Britney Spears, which if you guys haven't read, you want to get depressed, go read that one. At the very least, Mr. Spears grossly Mr. Big Jamie grossly violated his daughter's privacy by directing Black Box Security, the company charged with protecting Britney, to surreptitiously, I can't say that word, to capture her communications in her most private moments. Based on information obtained from a former Black Box employee, a whistleblower, Alex Vlaslov, the Times reported that Big Jamie and Black Box ran an intense surveillance apparatus that monitored her communications and secretly captured audio recordings from her bedroom, including her interactions and conversations with her boyfriend and children. Following publication of these troubling allegations, I personally debriefed and interviewed the whistleblower, Alex Vlaslov, at the Bel Air Hotel in Los Angeles at the direction of counsel for Rosengart. I corroborated the Times reporting on Mr. Spears' extensive surveillance efforts, including of Big Jamie's attorney-client communications and private conversations in her bedroom. Based upon my training and experience, including as a special agent with the FBI and having debriefed and interviewed many hundreds of individuals and witnesses, I concluded that Mr. Vlaslov was highly credible.
Yes!
That's huge. It's a huge...
Yes!
Jamie. And what's amazing is I don't think they're admitting... I think this is on purpose. They don't want to admit that there's evidence. Like they allude to it, but I think they're really putting the pressure on Jamie. Do they have the audio? Do they have it in? You know what I mean? Like I think they are waiting for Jamie to hang himself and deny, perjure himself, and then oh look at this. Oh, what is this, sir? And then play the audio tape. You know, I'm hoping and praying that that's what's going on here because it seems hard to believe that all these reporters and now the FBI would all align to corroborate this without feeling, hearing something or feeling confident enough that, yeah, this is real. Do you know what I mean, Steph?
No, exactly what you mean. Absolutely. But yeah, they can't, for her to turn around and say, as far as I'm concerned, the hero, Alex Vlasov, is freaking highly credible. Yes! Yes.
It's so just sad that we have to be here cheering that, yay, we can catch the people who are secretly recording Britney. It's depressing, guys. It is depressing that was even happening. That's how gross and deep this gets. On the outset, it's worth noting that Mr. Vlaslov told me it's very clear that Black Box treated Jamie, not his daughter, as its client. Big Jamie was the person making the decisions and giving the directions to Black Box, including, as discussed further below, the directions to surveil his daughter. Big Jamie was close to Black Box's CEO, Adon Yamini, even before the establishment of the conservatorship, and was responsible for selecting Black Box to provide security for Mr. Spears under the conservatorship. In fact, Mr. Yamini evidently created Black Box in order to handle Britney's account. According to Alex, Black Box provided more than just security for Miss Spears. Black Box also occupied what Vlaslov referred to as a caretaker role, which is super effed up. At Jamie's discretion, Black Box staff administered Miss Spears' prescription and over-the-counter medications and controlled her cell phone and credit card. So effed up. Jamie directed...
How can they do that?
I don't know how they're allowed to do that either. Why? It's so frustrating. Let's expose Big Jamie first, obviously, but... when are we going to start exposing everyone else who was culpable in this, right? The judges, the lawyers. Like, how was this all just the routine for so damn long? It's terrifying. It's terrifying. Black Box was already monitoring her phone when Mr. Vlaslov began working there in 2012. He expressed his concern to Mr. Yamini, told not to worry, and that monitoring was supposedly authorized. They needed a USB-based software that monitored her BlackBerry. However, this software didn't work well on Apple devices. Long story short, in this paragraph, what they get to is they needed to figure out how to crack an iPhone. And apparently, it was Robin Greenhill. Her suggestion said, well, why not just do an iCloud mirroring on a separate device? At which point they did. So Robin Greenhill, also guilty, was aware. She was getting some of these. She was getting all the messages as well on behalf of Lou. So we'll see if Robin throws Lou under the bus or what happens. But they were basically, you could do this with kids on your phones. You can set up an iCloud, your iCloud account to be on multiple devices, so you get the messages and stuff in the iCloud on any other device that's connected. And so I guess Britney was unaware, and they were just completely tracking everything she sent. They purchased the iPad, which is then linked to Miss Spears' iCloud account, allowing the contents of her iPhone, which were backed up to the cloud, to simultaneously be accessed and reviewed via the iPad, which was left in a safe in the Black Box offices. Yamini or Vlaslov would regularly review the iPad's content, i.e. text messages, videos, other personal data, mirrored from her phone, mind you, and they would put the data in encrypted folders before sending them to Big Jamie for his review. Imagine sitting there and reviewing your your adult daughter's texts every day, getting your coffee and your whatever croissant. Let's see what my daughter's saying today. Like, that's how sick this guy is. Like, that is sick. According to Ms. Vlaslov, Black Box sent the communications to Big Jamie at his explicit request. Big Jamie said on one occasion asked Black Box to send him specific items from the iCloud, such as therapy notes or text messages. It should be noted that Big Jamie was aware that he was expressly prohibited from reviewing Britney's therapy notes without her permission following his removal as conservatorship in 2019. In fact, Mr. Spears expressed displeasure to counsel for the conservatorship in April 2019 that he didn't have the power to see her physical reports. Counsel explained to him that he would need Britney's permission to see notes on what she discusses with her psychiatrist. That's how effed up this guy was. And then he knew that and then proceeded to grab therapy notes from her iCloud. Sick. Communication between Jamie and her personal court-appointed attorney, Sam Ingram, were among the private communications that Black Box and Jamie monitored. Now, again, you got to remember, this is the FBI special counsel corroborating this report that we've already reported on, and I still don't understand why there's not more like freak out in the media and with everybody to know that this was happening to her. It still feels like they're like, she's crazy, so who cares? It's sickening to me. But now you have FBI special counsel confirming and corroborating and verifying it again with even more detail that, not only were they doing all this, checking her therapy notes and everything else, they were reading her attorney's notes. That's illegal. And it's like we have to separate them, Steph, like as if it's not all bad. Well, this is really bad. It's all bad. This is gross. Mr. Spears was particularly interested in his daughter's attorney-client communications and wanted regular updates from Black Box on the substance of those privileged messages. Get me all the stuff she's saying to her lawyer. Let me know what's brewing. She coming after us? The cards were stacked against her. Surveillance of Miss Spears' communication with her lawyer continued until at least 2020, when Mr. Yamini was instructed Yamini instructed Alex to cease reviewing attorney-client privilege. Something must have come up. Oh, that's right. This is when an email came up. I'm interested to hear when Britney or somebody reveals how this all happened, but Ingham wrote an email, and it's basically they sought confirmation from conservators' counsel that in connection with the purchase of a new phone for Britney, no one other than Britney can access her calls, voicemails, or texts directly or indirectly. Following day, Geraldine Weil, counsel for the conservator, they got to get out like that. They got lucky, but we should be checking into Geraldine Weil as well. I know Geraldine's been linked to Michael Jackson as well. That's a name. That's a very powerful name that she doesn't want anyone to say. But let's look into it. Let's look into it. That's all I'm saying. Let's see what's going on there. Jamie confirms he has no access to her calls, voicemails, or texts. Miss Weil went on to say, we don't know if Britney has given access to anyone else, for example, her boyfriend or children, like she would be able to do that. But she did not state that Mr. Spears and she did not state that that Jamie and Black Box had been accessing Miss Spears' text messages and other communication for years, including her communication with her lawyer, Mr. Ingham. I reviewed a copy of this email exchange dated August 23rd, which was provided by the conservators' counsel, John Zabel. Whether the surveillance of the communications did in fact stop, Alex told me the monitoring of other content on the phone did not cease until early 2021. Up until that time, Alex regularly overheard Mr. Yamini updating Miss Spears on the contents of the phone devices used by his daughter. It reviewed screenshots of messages shared by Alex, which corroborate that Jamie monitored his daughter's text message conversations with her mother, her boyfriend, her close friends, and her court-appointed lawyer. In addition, I have personally reviewed communications provided me by Mr. Vlasov that he has from his personal devices, which evidence Black Box's monitoring of her communication and further confirm that Black Box had within its possession copies of Big Jamie's attorney-client privileged communications that her court-appointed attorney obtained through surveillance. So here she's saying we have proof. Not only do I have, but there is proof. I saw the screenshots. I believe them. There's blatant evidence that, yes, Black Box was allowing Big Jamie to read her privileged comments to her own lawyers. I know my training and experience as FBI, from my training as an FBI, that the Federal Criminal Code prohibits the intentional interception of any wire, oral, or electronic communication, and the obtaining of stored electronic communications through the unauthorized access of a facility through which an electronic communication is provided. It's criminal. See, this is criminal behavior now that's caught. Based on my debriefing of Alex Vlasov, I have also corroborated that Mr. Spears instructed Black Box to place a secret recording in Miss Spears' bedroom. Alex became aware of this separate form of surveillance on about 2018 when Mr. Yamini and a former black box employee asked Alex to wipe the contents of a USB drive that was connected. They were extremely nervous when they requested that he wipe or erase the recordings. At that time, Mr. Vlasov observed that the digital recording device had an SD card and a battery pack and was covered in duct tape. According to him, Black Box was initially responsible for suggesting that a secret listening device be planted in Miss Spears' bedroom, but Mr. Spears loved the idea and approved and instructed that the installation move forward. Black Box employee who placed the secret device in Miss Spears' bedroom explained to Alex that he did so by duct taping it behind furniture so it could not be seen, and that he added a separate battery pack to permit continuous recording for a longer period of time. He further explained that he and Mr. Yamini had listened to the recordings made in Miss Spears' bedroom, but found nothing useful. They got greedy, Steph. They were like, let's put it in the bedroom. Let's see what we can get there. Let's get everything. When Mr. Vlasov accessed the USB drive that he had been connected to the recording device, he saw that there appeared to be files from 2016 all the way through 2018 with hundreds of hours of audio recording. According to Alex, the recordings contained conversations between Miss Spears and her boyfriend, between her children. According to Miss Vlasov, some of the audio files were time-stamped. Others appeared to be recorded during the time where the court investigator came to interview Britney at home. California is a two-party consent state. The California Invasion of Privacy Act requires all parties consent to a recording of their confidential conversations and provides for criminal penalties for individuals who record communications without the necessary two-party consent. So, doom, ba-boom, boom. More criminal investigation required against Jamie Spears for doing that. Black Box improperly surveilled individuals of interest. It gets even crazier, Steph. He had a relationship with a private investigator who somehow was able to obtain private phone records from telephone company, and that Mr. Meany used this private investigator to obtain phone records for among people, Lynn Spears and Britney Spears' masseuse to determine if they were speaking with the media. So here he is, somehow obtaining the private phone records of her mom and of her masseuse. He would also obtain GPS ping data on individuals of interest that would allow him to ascertain where those individuals' exact locations were. How the hell did they get this information? Mr. Spears would identify individuals who are in contact with Britney, including former romantic interests, whom he wanted Black Box to physically surveil. If during their physical surveillance the team lost individual, Mr. Yamini would make a call to one of his contacts and soon thereafter be sent GPS coordinates by text message that disclosed the individual's location. Alex was with Mr. Yamini at least one occasion where this occurred. So, that's so effed up. That requires some... we should have gotten John Hubbard on. I'm curious if he could even tell us. But that requires some serious hanky-panky going on with someone in the know at a phone company, police records, someone that they paid off who clearly wasn't supposed to, Steph, to give them the GPS locations of anybody they chose. That's how crazy this is getting. Reactions.
My opinion, my conspiracy, my theory, my whatever. This is an organized crime ring. This is not a conservatorship. This is an organized crime ring. And anyone that was involved has a high probability, in my opinion, my conspiracy, my theory, my whatever, of getting up to some shady shiz. Now, the thing that completely scares me the most is, out of all of this, Big Jamie. Because he evolved and got to a point where he had access to all this power, all this control. It is scary. It is unfathomable. If you think about it this way, to me, the only entity that would have as much control or more, that would just be above him, is the freaking government. He was, in my opinion, at government level access to be able to surveil, control Britney's every movement and life, and other people's as well. There weren't even the conservatorship. There weren't. He wasn't looking after them. Looking after them. I put that in parentheses there. But he had the gall. He had the whatsits to be like, do you know what? Not only am I going to infringe on Britney's personal freedom, I'm going to infringe on everyone else as well at my own will. How? That is scary as shiz. Oh my goodness! And the other thing as well that I had in my head is this secret recording device that allegedly or whatnot they had in Britney's bedroom, right? It says in the document that it recorded conversations with various people, including her boyfriend, right? And that Big Jamie and Black Box would review the whole lot, right? Well, let's put it this way, okay? Not only do conversations happen in the bedroom, but when you got a boyfriend, certain intimate actions also happen as well. Oh my shizzing hell, the father, my opinion, my experience, my theory, my whatever, because we've got to be careful here, guys, listened to that. Oh, no.
He totally listened to that. He totally listened to that.
Like, oh my goodness. Like, that is sick.
Dude,
sick,
you know what
sick in the head.
You know what I think he was doing, Steph? You sound like mama.
Yeah.
Oh, God, this guy's that twisted. Oh, yeah, she sounds like Lynn. Oh, Lynn in her heyday. That's how gross this dude is.
Disgusting. Disgusting. Oh, my goodness. I mean, you read between the lines. This is scary. And this went on for 13, 14 years. Like, oh, my goodness. It's a testament to her strength for Queen Britney. How is she still alive? Bloody hell. How did she not check out? How is she still alive? Oh my goodness. It's beyond that this could even take place on this world. But it did. And hashtag believe Britney.
Yeah, and
believe Britney.
Sorry we just made all of you barf, but I see all of the barf. I didn't mean to go there, guys, but come on, tell me I'm crazy. He's totally like, oh yeah, I love it. Sounds like Lynn. He's a disgusting, psychotic mess. So I could see him just like getting some whiskey and replaying the tapes, Steph. Oh my God, ugh.
It's evil.
He wants control and the power. You know what I mean? And what else? Can he get then at that point? Oh yeah, I'm gonna listen to my daughter do it. Ugh, sickening.
An absolute megalomaniac of a tyrant he was with Britney. But not just Britney, people that were around her. And allegedly, in terms of the Free Britney movement as well, certain people were targeted, allegedly. Oh, it goes beyond. These people, everyone that is involved, in my opinion, with this organized crime ring needs to be held accountable, and the freaking book thrown at the lot of them. Get every single law and statute that they have broken, no matter how small. Get it all, throw it at them so they can rot in freaking jail, penniless for the rest of their lives.
Well said. Couldn't say it better myself. Love a good Steph rant when we get it. All right, getting deep back into it, Steph. Get ready for some more.
Let's go.
So Jamie engaged in repeated financial misconduct, self-dealing, and mismanagement during his tenure. Investigation into Big Jamie's management of the estate, though ongoing, has identified multiple instances in which Jamie, engaged in apparent financial misconduct as conservator, including by using his daughter's assets to pay his own legal and other personal expenses and the legal expenses of his friend, an undisclosed leader beneficiary, Lou Taylor, making excessive payments to Miss Lou Taylor's company, TriStar. Mr. Spears' resources to advance his own unsuccessful career as a cook or television personality, and otherwise engaging in self-dealing with and mismanagement of Britney's assets. As set forth below, Jamie used the estate funds to pay the legal fees of Lou Taylor, the personal friend to whom he was indebted $40,000 at the time he placed his daughter in the conservatorship, even though his counsel advised him that the expenditure was inappropriate use of the assets of Britney's estate. This story is insane, guys. On July 1st, Lou Taylor filed a lawsuit in the district court against Brian Kuchar, who's like a YouTuber or something, for allegedly utilizing two domains, Lou M. Taylor and LouTaylor.net, to tarnish Taylor's name and mark. Miss Taylor was initially represented by Stokes Wagner and then later Spurry IP. Based on my review of the court filing and internal email communications, it is clear that this lawsuit was a personal matter related to and concerning Miss Lou Taylor's personally, and that as a business manager who handled Miss Spears' bills, investments, money, and her taxes, and thereby owed fiduciary duties to Britney and her estate, these legal fees should have never been charged to Britney or her estate, and Big Jamie, who also had fiduciary duties, should have never allowed it to occur. Neither the complaint nor the response to the complaint mentions Britney. Rather, it is clear the suit was filled in order to benefit Miss Lou Taylor personally. She does that a lot. Steph goes after YouTubers. She went after BJ. You go after Miss Lou Taylor. She tries to sue you, and turns out she was charging Britney for these personal lawsuits. These completely unnecessary, stupid, frivolous lawsuits. She was charging Britney for them, her money manager. And meanwhile, Britney was barely getting any money per month. Go ahead.
But let's take it a step further. She was charging Britney to fund her lawsuits against Britney's fans.
Correct. Well said.
who Britney's
charging
fans were funding Britney's career. Like, without Britney's fans, there's no money, right? Because Britney's fans buy into Britney in terms of her music, her perfume, her merchandise, the whole lot, right? But she was using Britney as an asset to fight against her own fans. Freaking twisted!
So twisted.
Twisted woman, my opinion.
And it was so she March 20th, the law firm with whom Mr. Jamie Spears and Lou Taylor worked in Los Angeles invoiced Britney's estate in the amount of basically $154,000. $154,000 for legal services performed by these law firms. After a modest reduction was applied, these fees were paid by one of Britney's business entities on March 10th. So they have this proof. At the request of Big Jamie and with his authorization, TriStar, as business manager and bill payer, effectively paid itself in connection with the transaction. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So they got paid to pay themselves. Did you catch that, Steph? They got paid to pay themselves. Jamie's improper use of his daughter's money to pay Lou Taylor's personal legal fees was noted by Jamie's attorney at Hall & Knight, who wrote to Jamie on February 9th, the Kuchar pleadings I just forwarded to you further support my conclusion that Lou should pay the fees of the Atlanta lawyers and more specifically reimburse the conservatorship. Neither the complaint nor the answer makes any reference to Britney. No connection is made between Britney and the lawsuit. Lou doesn't even try to weave it into the complaint, which makes the sell that the conservatorship shall pay her fees even more tenuous. So here you have Jamie's own lawyer admitting that this is BS, but then it's like, you didn't even try to weave it in. If you had just mentioned Britney's name a couple times, we could have tried to justify the expense, but it's going to be a lot more tenuous here to pay those fees since you didn't even mention it. So you can't sell it. Like, how gross is this? This is what lawyers do all the time. Lawyers, all these managing people, how do we just figure out ways to trick it in so it's counted? A personal lawsuit towards one of Britney's fans trying to protect her, and TriStar's getting paid to pay themselves to file the law, to defend themselves in a lawsuit. It's blows your mind. That one's just so gross and disturbing. Jamie authorized more than at least $300,000 in excessive or overpayments to TriStar. And this is at the end of the video, so we're going to do an exposing Lou video. I think we'll do that for tomorrow, Steph. I need to prepare the romantic relationship and really zero in on these big money things, because they do not want you guys to hear this. They are doing everything in their power to wave their little Men in Black light. Oh yeah, Britney's erratic. And the reality is, so many people in Hollywood are using TriStar, athletes, Kardashians. And you wonder who else they got evidence of to keep in the ranks. You know what I mean? Something's going on over there. Jamie allowed TriStar to profit from his daughter's estate in other more systematic ways that were also improper and inconsistent with his duties as fiduciary. In particular, Mr. Spears approved outsized commissions and other payments to TriStar, even though the estate apparently had no written contractual obligation to TriStar. To date, I have been unable to identify any formal written agreement between TriStar and the estate that spells out TriStar's responsibility and commissions and fees that it was to be paid. You know, because Steph, when you make a big deal, you sign on a big management firm, usually there's a contract that has a set time, rates, expectations, rules, yada, yada, yada. He didn't even do that because he was sleeping with her, allegedly, and because he owed her money. And it was all pre-planned, and this was all the whole idea, that they both would just reap the benefits of doing this job. I believe no such written contract ever exists. It was ever executed. Even though it appears that Jamie failed to obtain an executed written contract with TriStar, the QuickBooks accounting data obtained from TriStar shows that it was paid exorbitant commissions and fees over the course of the conservatorship. This included payment to TriStar of a percentage of Miss Spears' earnings, creating a perverse incentive for TriStar to maximize Britney's work output, even if doing so was not in Miss Spears' personal best interests. Because again, you got to remember, right? You're in this conservatorship to protect your health, your well-being, not to be a cash cow for your father and the management firm. When Miss Spears took a hiatus from performing in early 2019, TriStar's ability to profit from her estate decreased significantly. On November 12, 2019, Lou Taylor emailed Jamie to say that TriStar's commission only garnered them $179,000 thus far in 2009 because Britney did not perform. So, because Miss Taylor wanted to ensure TriStar obtained a minimum of $500,000 per year, so she requested a retroactive payment of $308,974.51 for 2019 and an alteration to their agreement going forward so that TriStar would be paid 5% or $500,000 per year, whichever was greater. Lou Taylor wrote, Jamie, we just ran time and billing for Britney and all of the entities. We have a $400,000 loss on time and billing. A loss because she's not working, you mean? We have a loss on imagine this. She's literally treating this woman in a conservatorship, her client, as she needs to put out more output. Or we're going to have to let you go, Jamie. Is how this reads to me. If you don't get that, that cow to keep mowing the lawn, we're going to have to find another cow. We just ran it all the time. We have a $400,000 loss on time and billing this year. We've been paid $179K. I want to stay at 5% commission, but set a floor of $500K a year, even though she's not working and there's nothing to manage. Typically that's what happens when when no one's working and there's nothing to manage. Yeah, you don't get paid as much. But no, we want to set a floor of $500,000 a year or 5% in case she does work, and whatever's more. Meaning we would not get paid less than $500,000 this year. And 2020, we would get a retainer payment each month. And each quarter, settle it up against the commission. Then next year, we'll look at it time and billing again. Is this approved? Mr. Spears did not question, but instead responded to the email, approved. And a payment of $308,000 was made from Britney's estate by TriStar to TriStar on December 21st, 2019. Yeah, something looks sus there, Steph. Does this look like this is on the up and up behavior?
Yeah, totally. What the hell? What the deuce? Britney decides that she don't want to dance their tune anymore, that she wasn't going to be their dancing working monkey, that she had enough. Starts fighting back. What happens? Well, if you don't work, you don't earn. So, therefore, You're not going to get as much money, right? Exactly what Andy just said. TriStar, my opinion, my conspiracy, my theory, my whatever, had the gall to turn around and say, oh, well, yeah, there's not been that much earnings in 2019, and there's been a shortfall. We're not going to take the hit. You're going to take the hit. Conservatorship, and by conservatorship we mean Britney Spears. It's like, to me, my opinion, they were punishing Britney for basically not working anymore and saying, right, you're not working? Okay. Your earnings have decreased? Okay. Well, it means that our earnings have decreased as well, but we're not going to take that. So because you're not working anymore, we're going to punish you. We've got a shortfall. You're paying for that. Not the business to pay for the shortfall and take the hit. No, you, Britney, are going to take the hit. Because at the end of the day, you've stopped working. That's unacceptable. We're going to punish you. Here's a $300 and whatever $1,000 freaking bill. Oh, and by the way, that ain't just the other form of punishment we're going to give you, because it's going to continue whilst you're not working. So regardless, whether you're working or not, you're going to give us $500,000 every year. Whoa! Like, to me, it's a form of punishment against Britney for her standing up for herself and saying, I ain't going to be your dancing freaking monkey anymore. I'm stopping working. I'm done. I'm exiting. Bye. Laters. It's insane. My opinion.
No, it's my opinion too. It's nothing insane about it. I mean, yeah, it's insane. Nothing insane about your opinion, though. Want to keep seeing what's insane? Let's hold on. It's real
Go
quick. Thanks to a couple of chats, and sorry, I wasn't ignoring it. Sometimes since we broke the flow, now I can take a moment. Thank you again, Jay Cantor. You became a member earlier, and then Paxton. I did see it. I saw you in the chat. Why didn't you read my super chat? We find little breaks in the show, and then I catch them up. I always read all chats. So if you want to support, there's a pinned comment link. Use the Stream Elements link. We will respond and react to all your comments, and you'll be supporting our channel and our coverage. So thanks. We don't have TriStar money, so it's what it is. We go by your support. So thank you, Paxton, for the tip. I hope Britney charges fans $2,500 a piece to meet and greet Jamie and Luty in prison. I love that idea. 40 to 60 people a night, just like they did to her in Vegas. Imagine that. Just walk by them in their prison cell. Oh, that'd be beautiful. Can Caesars get that going as like a Caesars prison next to the? Because that would be amazing. That would be amazing. What I kind of want to rally up funds to do that. Get a selfie with them in prison. Totally all for it, Paxton. Brilliant idea. Jacqueline Whiting, thank you so much for the chat. Alina Valentine. Beautiful name. What crap luck. It is literally everyone in Britney's family is a snake. Snake. Just sad. Bad luck, man. I can't wait to watch them all fry. I get so heated thinking about the intricate BS they orchestrated for profit. P.S. You're the bee's knees, Andy. Oh, thank you, Elena, I think. Elena Valentine, thank you. You are the bee's knees. Thank you for your tip. And then Harley just sent over a super chat sticker. You're awesome, Harley. Thank you so much, Harley. And thank you, everybody watching, supporting. You can keep it coming. I'll take a break again before we wrap up and go through your chats if you want to send them over. I appreciate all you guys. Yes, Steph.
I've got one.
Oh, good. What'd you get?
Yeah, through my stream elements. Thank you very much to Coolio.
What fantastic
no message, Coolio. But thank you so much for the stream elements PayPal donation. $7.47. That's so kind of you. Thank you very much. If you can't afford to donate, that's absolutely fair enough. I just really hope that you subscribe, please.
Subscribe. In fact, good time since we're here. Let's make sure I've plugged, since we got a lot of people watching. Just taking a minute here to thank all you guys. But if you haven't already, go support Steph the Alternerd. Check out her new Britain's Most Evil series. Here's his. Go subscribe to Steph if you haven't already, and check out her new show that she's just put up a couple hours ago. Horrifying true story of Peter Sutcliffe. Ooh, Yorkshire Ripper. Britain's Most Evil. I love this series. Love that she's got some cool new content for you guys. I don't know why it says you have no videos, but I know you do. There they are.
YouTube glitches sometimes like that. I don't know why.
But I love that she's putting out this cool new show. Go support it. I know she's putting a lot of work in there, research. Go check out these cool new stories and go show her some love, guys. Please, okay? There
Love
it is.
to get to 8,000 subscribers.
Let's
With
do
a
it.
lot of you in here. That would be cool.
We can do it. With enough of you in here, yeah, let's let her cross the line right now. Come on, guys. Make it happen.
Thank Thanks, you guys.
All right,
Thanks, Andy.
now getting, of course, always. Now here's where it gets even more frustrating. Mr. Spears, Jamie, exploited his role as conservator to promote his own business and pilot television show, Cookin', Cruisin', and Chaos with Jamie Spears. Wow, what a title. Cookin', Cruisin', and Chaos with Jamie. Him drinking and cooking every week. Man, I'd probably watch some of it. I got to be honest, just to throw something at it. But anyway, here, based on my review of public, in fact, do I have it here? I think I do. Here it is. There it is. Put a little south in your mouth. Exploited his role as conservative to try to launch a TV show pilot, here for which he used a longtime staffer from Britney's tour to help him. Cooking, Cruising, and Chaos. Put a little south in your mouth. So he had that there. I mean, it is a good catch line. I got to give him that.
No, it's not. It's no, because it's probably the way that I kind of my brain is wired. But dudes, when put a little dude, that's all kinds of wrong right now in my mind. That is all kinds of wrong.
Nah, it's a little bit. Put a little south in your mouth. Oh yeah, it's salacious. It's dirty. It's memorable. It's probably the only good thing Jamie's ever written. Although I don't believe he wrote it. Oh, gross. All right, well, here we go. Now we're talking about Cooking, Cruising, and Chaos. Based on my review of public record information in my interview with Mark Delacour, the longtime musical director for for James, Jamie exploited his role as conservator to try and create his own business and relatedly to try and launch his own television series, acquiring an expensive tour bus for that purpose and using the time and expertise of Britney's touring staff and crew to assist in these other efforts. So he was trying to double dip. While they were on tour and he had this staff that was working for him, he would try and make them work for him to develop the show. I know a lot of sketchy people in Hollywood who try to do that all the time based off other people's work, try to siphon off some of the crew and money to do their own thing while they're there. I interviewed and spoke with Mr. Delacour regarding his experience and observations during his lengthy tenure working for Britney, including for a number of years following the establishment of the conservatorship. Mr. Delacour reported that in approximately 2010 or 11, he was told that Jamie had spent several $100,000s to purchase a tour bus for his own personal use, which he then outfitted with barbecue grills and other specialized cooking equipment. I have identified no streams of revenue to Jamie other than more than the $6 million Jamie took from the estate and salary, which he in fact disclosed, and commissions, which he in fact disclosed, to that would have sourced the purchase price and retrofitting of this bus. At the least, given Mr. Spears' dire financial situation prior to becoming conservator, including his bankruptcy, Jamie was able to afford the luxury of an expensive tour bus only because of the degree to which he enriched himself as conservator. I have seen a photograph of the truck with the name Cruisin' Chaos emblazoned on it. In fact, here it is again. For those of you who have it, there it is. It's the bus he bought that he retrofitted and turned into this. Anybody who doesn't believe it. It was in an area where Mr. Spears is known to reside in Louisiana, and I am also aware that Jamie owns a catering company called Cruisin' Cookin' Chaos LLC, and that this company has several vehicles registered to, including 3 vehicles that were at one point co-owned by TriStar. TriStar taking more money. He's paying off TriStar to get other money in other ways is what I think this is alluding to, including, hey, we'll pay for your buses through some of our payments and we'll justify it as business expenses. Mr. Spears diverted tour resources to promote himself. Mr. Delacour reported in 2015 he saw Jamie retrofitted tour bus parked outside the Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas, where Britney and her crew were rehearsing for the Vegas residency. Around that time, Jamie approached Mr. Delacour to request that Mr. Delacour use his experience and expertise in digital recording to help Jamie record a promotional reel that he intended to use to pitch his own pilot cooking show titled Cooking, Cruising, Chaos. Understanding that Mr. Spears had the power to hire and fire tour personnel, including Mr. Delacour, he said he felt forced to oblige. So here you have the dance musical director of Britney's tour being sidelined like, hey, Mr. Delacour, I really want you to help me make a promotional reel for my new TV show while you're here. And you're like, you're my boss. Okay. Jamie never offered to pay for Mr. Delacour's services, which would have cost Mr. Spears a significant amount of money if he had not had access to and freely availed himself to the highly trained professionals, such as Mr. Delacour working for his daughter. So that's how he got away with it, but he would use them to his benefit. Mr. Spears billed this state of efforts to oppose the Free Britney movement. Oh, just when you thought it couldn't get worse. He also used state funds to oppose the Free Britney movement. In recent years, supported the termination of the conservatorship. Mr. Spears instructed Black Box to conduct investigations into certain members of the movement. The Black Box argued, Alex, the whistleblower, argued this was not a good use of Black Box's time or resources, as the Free Britney fans did not represent a threat to Britney, in contrast to threats from stalkers. Despite Alex's argument, and despite the fact that he and the Free Britney movement was a reputational and financial threat to Lou Taylor and Jamie personally, rather than to Britney, who wanted her freedom, Black Box conducted investigations on several individuals associated with the Free Britney movement, a fact that I have independently corroborated based on emails that I have reviewed. Based upon our review of public filings and QuickBooks data provided by TriStar, it appears that these investigations of Miss Spears' supporters were billed to her estate. So, Steph, they're going to check people in the Free Britney movement, which we knew, but we didn't confirm that, yeah, all those investigations and work was billed to Britney to try to end the Free Britney movement to keep her in the conservatorship. Let's knock all these fans down, get all the intel on them so we can protect ourselves. This was never about protecting Britney, right? This was about protecting their investment, protecting their paychecks. How sick is that?
What else to say that? So it's there. Again, it goes down to what I said earlier on. They used Britney to financially fight and put down Britney's fans that she loves and adores. It's Orwellian to the nth degree. This is like textbook Orwellian 1984 shiz that's going down right now. That was going down. It still is, but back then, wow, it's Machiavellian. It's Orwellian. It's nuts. I'm like, my eyes just go like more wider and wider going through this. And it's like, we knew, I suppose, that this was going on with all the revelations that have been coming out over the last couple of years, especially. But to see these words come out of ex-special FBI agent with the credentials that she's got and the background that she's got, it puts this into a different stratosphere at this point, and it just hits harder, these words right now. It's nuts.
Well, we're getting to the end of this. There's still some more, but just as if it couldn't get more nuts. I know this has been rough for a lot of you guys, but not only that, Jamie charged Britney's estate for legal fees related to his altercation with the harassment of her son, his grandson. So you guys remember back in August 2019, it was reported in the media that Jamie negotiated the scope of the DV restraining order against him. Despite the fact that work on this matter was for the benefit of Jamie to resolve the potential reputational fallout from his actions towards Britney's young son, Jamie authorized TriStar to pay significant legal fees incurred in connection with this DV matter from Britney's estate. The fee petition that Big Jamie submitted to the probate court included vague language about the nature of the services performed that obscured the fact that they were provided for Jamie's personal benefit. For example, declaration by Miss Weil attributed the $5,610 in legal services performed by Freeman Law Firm on the matter to strategies to address certain child custody and related issues, negotiations with counsel for Kevin Federline, as well as communications regarding stipulation. Now, this one really bothers me. It's like it's the scope of it. Yeah, it's a lot, $5,000. Yeah, it's a lot, but it's not $100,000. But it just proves on the worst level. Here you have Britney and Kevin, filing a restraining order against the guy who's in charge of conservatorship for going against their own son, his grandson. And then he's out there trickily placing his defense fees from his law firm to defend this and labeling it as strategies for child custody negotiations with counsel for Kevin Federline. No, this was your legal defense against you roughing up your grandson. And you charged your daughter?
Yeah.
Like, God, man, this is sick. That just the fact that it happened. That's the mindset of this monster. He's figuring out how to trick the wording of it, so even that was covered and paid for by Britney. This was, again, to protect Britney. Protect Britney. I love my daughter. Hey, Britney, that was my lawyer that looked into the matter about your son, my grandson. That was just some child custody talks, okay? So I'm just gonna file that under the conservatorship, but it's not you're not paying for it. I am, because I do all the working, because I love you the most, Britney. This dude's twisted. And this is only the stuff we can catch, Steph. That's what's so scary. There's only little bits of things that they're catching because no one's speaking up, and of course things are being shredded, and they didn't keep any actual evidence. But we are still catching legitimately effed up things here. I'm speechless from it. He engaged in self-dealing in connection with the purchase and sale of Britney's childhood home. He also engaged in self-dealing when in capacity as conservator, purchasing Britney's childhood home for himself. Jamie and Lynn Spears originally purchased the Kentwood house in 1980, which was subdivided into 3 parcels. In August 1986, the bank foreclosed on the parcel of land that included the family home. In February 2022, Bridgemont Timber, an entity owned by Britney Spears, purchased this parcel from the bank for $56,000. So we got it back. In 2017, Mr. Spears petitioned the court to allow him to purchase this property from Bridgemore, from his own entity, for $59,000. Among other reasons, Mr. Spears claimed that this was the best interest of the conservatee, as the property had decreased significantly in value, had an ongoing tax burden, and result in significant loss for Ms. Spears' estate. The court approved the sale somehow to Mr. Spears on this basis. In fact, however, the tax burden for the property was less than $57. This court, man, the court is so screwed up. So screwed up. February 2021, just 3 years after acquiring this property from his daughter's estate, Mr. Spears personally sold all 3 parcels for $275,000. Mr. Spears sold land owned by Miss Spears at a heavy loss. In August 2002, Britney's entity Bridgemore purchased a 1.54-acre parcel of land in Louisiana for $682,000. In March 2016, while Mr. Spears, co-manager of Bridgemore, he sold this parcel of land to his niece and nephew, Laura and Brad Matthews, for $386,000, a loss to the estate of almost $300,000. Gave it to him at half price. Because, Britney's best interest. Laura Matthews, nee Covington, is the daughter of Reginald Covington, Miss Spears' uncle, and the former manager of Bridgemore. Oh, I wonder how we got the deal, Steph. Yeah, I'm going to buy this land on Britney's money, and I'll give it to you at half cost just because you're good for it. Hey, want to listen to my daughter have sex on tape? That's what this guy's doing. Like, how effed up is this guy? He's got no, chip inside of him to know what's right or wrong. At this point, he's just too far gone. What the hell is he doing? How does he have a right to make a business decision like that? Oh, yeah, remember your niece and nephew, Laura and Brad? Yeah, I gave him a free house. You're cool with it, right, Britney? Oh, wait, you're crazy, so I can't tell you. Oh, I'm losing my mind on this. Jamie also sold several additional Bridgemore properties to third parties at a collective loss of over $800,000 to the estate. In May 2001, Bridgemore purchased 3 parcels of land in East Falacia Parish for $2.8 million. In February 2015, when Mr. Spears managed Bridgemore, he sold these parcels of land to 3 separate parties for an aggregate total of $2.2 million at a loss of more than $500,000. In August 2001, Bridgemore purchased 1 more parcel of land in East Parish for blah, blah, blah. It sounds like he's wheeling and dealing, right? He's buying land cheap, and then he's selling it for less. And it's all, to me, again, speculation warning, got to be careful. But it sure seems like to me, Steph, this was ways for him to sort of grab little pieces of money under the table. You know what I mean? How do we, let's buy this, we'll sell this, and get these losses, but somehow the money, there must have been some other thing there where he was pocketing a lot of the extra, the loss to Britney, but not a loss to Big Jamie.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, it doesn't. To me, again, I know I'm repeating what I'm kind of saying in terms of a catchphrase, but again, we got to be careful with these mofos. My opinion, my conspiracy, my theory, my whatever. Their aim was to make money. Their aim was Britney Spears to be a freaking ATM cash machine, right? It does not make sense for them to sell these properties and these pieces of land at a loss, especially down the years when they would actually 9 times out of 10 have accrued more value anywhere within itself, right? So I question, are these actual losses? I wonder whether there were no losses actually to begin with. And even though on the face of it, it looks like there were losses, that they actually recoup those losses back just in a different way, with some cockery, hidgery-poo kind of accounting situation going on, right? Because they did everything they could, right, in my opinion, to profit from Britney and her estate. You've got land, you've got property. Damn, that's major assets there, right? Oh, millions and millions and millions of pounds in assets, and you're gonna accept a loss of like $1 million in total based on these figures here, there or thereabouts. No, not a chance. To me, there's no losses. They've recouped those losses back somewhere else.
Absolutely.
That's my opinion. It don't make sense otherwise. It really don't.
No, I mean, he could be doing a favor for these family members and people he owes, but yeah, there's, even if it's the case, he's still clearly, they owed him something, right? So it's not a loss to Jamie.
No.
But yeah, you go through all this stuff and it's unbelievable. Again, another loss of over $250,000. So all these parcels of land and everything, in 2 of the above 3 cases, Bridgemore reserved the right to oil, gas, and minerals in the soil after the sale. However, per financial records provided on behalf of the former co-conservators, these leases only earned Bridgemore $125,000 during the entirety of the conservatorship, an amount that does not appear to justify an aggressive loss of more than $800,000 to the estate through all those land sales. Jamie paid personal living expenses with estate funds. I mean, I always assume that, but here we go. Mr. Spears also caused the estate to pay his own utility and other expenses at the Kentwood, Louisiana warehouse, where he resided for at least some period of time during the latter part of the conservatorship. That warehouse was owned by Britney through her entity, Bridgemore. In a December 2017 lease agreement between Spears Management, owned by by Jamie, and Bridgemore, managed by Jamie, allowed Spears Management to occupy Bay 3 of the warehouse. However, public records and media reports, including photographic evidence, show that Jamie evidently occupied the entirety of the warehouse. Publicly available images on the property show the 3 larger bays being occupied by vehicles believed to belong to Jamie Spears, including vehicles matching the description of vehicles, catering company, cruising, cooking, chaos. So he's using this warehouse, all of it, for his own storage and not paying anything. That's owned by Britney. Per the lease of the Signal Warehouse Bay, dated December 2017, Jamie was responsible for contracting directly for and paying all utilities needed, including telephone alarm monitoring services. However, according to financial documentation obtained from temporary conservator John Zabel, between 2012 and 2020, Bridgemore, not Mr. Spears, paid more than $11,000 to AT&T for phone services at the warehouse and close to $9,000 to Advance Multimedia Partners for a lot of improvements, repairs, maintenance, and alarm services for the warehouse. Mr. Spears did not undertake to pay for these services that he enjoyed. Even he signed the 2017 lease that expressly allocated those expenses to him. Advanced Multimedia Partners is an entity owned by James P. Watson III, husband of Jamie Lynn Spears, and son-in-law to Jamie Spears. So here again, the first of a couple that James Watson, this is where it gets confusing, Jamie Lynn's husband getting paid through the conservatorship. She always said she wasn't. Now, this was for fees, guys. They hired James to come do the AT&T. Leave him alone. This wasn't something sketchy, blah, blah, blah. But it was something sketchy, Jamie Lynn, because it wasn't supposed to be paid to you from that estate. That was supposed to be paid for by your dad. And it wasn't. So if this happened, how many other things do you think happened, Jamie Lynn? We're not stupid. And so we're talk about not being stupid. Jamie allowed the estate to incur exorbitant expenses related to the Louisiana residence. Mr. Spears used his daughter's money to pay substantial expenses for the renovation and upkeep of property owned by the estate on Lewiston in Kentwood. Property was purchased by Britney for $29,000. Wow, that's cheap. 1999. During the course of the conservatorship, property had an estimated fair market value of $570,000 to $740,000. Based on my review of QuickBooks data provided by TriStar, Britney's estate incurred an exorbitant cost associated with the upkeep of this property. Between 2009 and 2019, the estate paid more than $1.5 million in expenses, between 2 and 3 times the value of the house, with almost $1 million of that amount ostensibly spent on repairs and maintenance. See table below in the QuickBook data. So here's all the repair and maintenance costs, total expenses, $1 million in repairs and maintenance throughout that decade. As referenced in the first
property only bought for $30,000.
Exactly. As referenced in the first supplemental 7th account, the current court properly asked Mr. Spears to justify the extraordinarily high expenses. So here you have the court, the shady court. Even the shady court's like, yo, these expenses are extraordinarily high for this Louisiana residence. Instead of answering the court's actual inquiry about the high expenses associated with the Louisiana residence, Mr. Spears evaded the question, like he always does, and responded, the expenses referred to are not for the Louisiana property, but are for the conservatees resident in California. To my knowledge, Mr. Spears failed to provide an explanation for the disproportionately high expenditures. Financial documentation obtained from TriStar via QuickBooks, so the information that they did get shows that $178,000 of more than the $1.5 million spent on that residence was paid to, who you think, Steph? Advanced Multimedia Partners, Mr. Spears' son-in-law's company, James Watson, for professional services, fees, repairs, and maintenance, and unidentified charges related to this property from 2012 to 2020. Notably, nearly $60,000 of the funds paid to this entity were paid in 2014, the same year Jamie evaded the court's request for an explanation for the extraordinarily high expenses associated with the property. So let that sink in there for a second. Miss Jamie Lynn, who never took a dime from my sister. Never took a dime from my sister. Well, I guess we got to ask, did your husband? Did your husband? Because sure looks like he did, girl. Does this surprise you, Steph?
No. No. Again, it's my opinion. It's a crime racket. It's an organized crime freaking ring. And anyone that's in it, in my opinion, is freaking culpable and is out to make money illegitimately, in my opinion. And the fact of the matter is, Jamie Lynn, all day long can turn around and say, I didn't take a penny, I didn't take a dime from Britney. Actually, girl, my opinion, you did. Because guess what? You're married to James the third dude, right? Mm-hmm. And through marriage, in law, my understanding of it is that whatever you own is his and whatever he owns is yours, right? So the money that was coming in through his company, that was to you as well, lass, through law of marriage. So you can try and BS your way and say you never took a dime. Quite clearly, my opinion, you freaking well did, lass. Why don't call your book of lies for nothing, in my opinion? Yeah, this is nuts.
There are definitely going to be some more things she should have said. It's the reality here. Going through this, this one's damning. And, yeah, it would be a nice thing for Britney to throw out there on Instagram. Hey, why did your husband take so much money? Want to answer that one, Jamie Lynn? Maybe it's coming. We'll see. All right, as we're getting close to the end of this, gross inequities and the disposition of Miss Spears' earnings. Forensic analysis of the available financial data has revealed inequities in the proportion of Britney's earnings that were paid at the direction of Mr. Spears, including to himself, in comparison with the amounts retained by Britney's estate. Publicly filed first accountant current shows that Britney's estate paid more than $2.7 million in attorney and other fees on behalf of the co-conservators, $400,000 for her court-appointed attorneys, and another $1 million in miscellaneous business expenses that are not itemized. To cover these extraordinarily high expenses, ostensibly needs to operate the conservatorship. Miss Spears' estate had to borrow more than $3.9 million from a pre-existing trust that held outside the estate, and another $5.7 million from various entities. As noted above, Mr. Spears secured for himself a percentage of Miss Spears' earnings on top of the six-figure salary that was paid by the estate yearly, a salary that was intended to compensate him for his work as conservator, even though he was a fiduciary and had no apparent experience or talent as a manager or agent in the music business. It's very important to make that because, okay, he can argue, I should get paid for my job. You know, Steph, it takes a lot of work to brainstorm these cooking things and, to spy on my daughter. It's really hard to push around her granddaughter. It's expensive. But the reality is that's not the experience you would pay, right? For someone to do said job. You would hire an expert who has done this, who is worth the salary. You know what I mean? But here he is putting his high-level salary out there day one on a job he's never done. And instead has done all these atrocious, horrible things that we're going through. So, disgusting. He had no experience as a talent manager or agent in the business, no way to justify the exorbitant costs he's making based on the QuickBooks data obtained from TriStar, which again we've not been able to independently verify. Jamie profited from his role as conservator in the amount of more than $6 million, which came directly from his daughter's estate, as set forth in the chart below. So here's all the money he got paid as she did more and more. And this is just what they're able to find through the QuickBooks.
I think that's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
It's hella more than that.
But still, $6 million over the course of what is this? About 10 years,
14, yeah.
That's insane. Why did he need to get paid that much? There's no justification. How much did Britney get per month on her allowance compared to what her own father's getting? Plus plus the percentages and houses he's getting for cheap that he's selling, and then so much more. I mean, this is depressing. Jamie also approved the expenditure of more than $30 million in fees to be paid by the estate to dozens of firms between 2008 and 2020. Review of fee applications, billing records submitted to the court show large payments for seemingly small matters, outsized fee for work of questionable or no benefit to Britney, and a great overlap in the work performed. So he's overcharging, and then it's for companies that are doing the same thing that I'm sure he's probably charging companies and then taking a piece of whatever he's charging them. Like you said, it's a racketeering thing that's going on here. Hey, yo, Steph, I'm going to pay you $10 million. Just make sure you keep $5 million of that for me. Cool? Deal? Is I think what's happening here. Again, speculation, but feels like a safe speculation. Hold on, let me close that. As just one example, under the 12th accounting alone, Holland Knight sought over $1.3 million in fees, $541,000 of which was to address undefined media matters. This is one of contention that they assumed they would just get away with. Oh, just say media matters. They're going to get to the bottom of that eventually, and someone's going to have to pay because they screwed up. Conclusion. During his tenure as conservator, Mr. Spears used his role as conservator to enrich himself and those loyal or useful to him, often at the expense and against the best interests of his own daughter, whose assets, welfare, and best interests he was supposed to protect. Beyond the financial misconduct, Mr. Spears had actual and apparent conflicts of interest in violation of industry norms and the rules governing the conduct of a conservatorship, and also engaged in and directed others to engage in unconscionable violations of Britney Spears' privacy and civil liberties, which also implicates federal or state criminal violations of the law. I declare under penalty of perjury that this is all true and correct. There she is, Shireen Abadi. Round of applause for her for pulling this all together. But man, that is some damning stuff. And now, as we heard from Christopher earlier, there is another document here where there are requests for admissions, which again just goes in and basically reaffirms a lot of what we just heard, aside from some fun stuff like they apparently admit that you had a romantic relationship with Lou Taylor, which I totally believe he did. But Christopher did say this is regular. They don't expect. There's easy ways to not answer these. This is all sort of just part of it all. So while I thought maybe this was something interesting, it turns out this is just part of the process. But this one's really much longer, so I'm not going to go through all of this as well. It's a lot of repeating the same things. But this is Britney Jean's objections in opposition to the petition for confirming and authorizing payment. And it just goes in to explain why should we pay you? It makes no sense. Why should we pay your attorney's fees but basically what's happening here, just to run down as quick as I can, but basically what's happening here is Jamie has a new attorney. He got rid of Vivian. And so now he's got another new New York attorney. And Rosengart and Britney are like, why would we let you pay exorbitant amount of money to get your new lawyer up to snuff when you've already done that twice? He's already paid 2 huge law firms on Britney's dime twice to sort of do all this before. And so now Jamie is out there again, a new lawyer. Hey, I need to pay him a ton of money, a very expensive lawyer, to go learn about the case and get ready to help me. And Rosengart and Britney are like, no. Enough is enough. And why would we let you do that when it's very clear we're just going to have to come back and get our money back anyway, because it's very clear from everything we're putting out there, you owe us money, and you're in the wrong. You violated laws and you weren't in her best interest. There's no way we're approving this money. So that's where we sort of wrap up and get a full around today. That's what's on the docket today. And as Christopher warned us, he does not expect a lot to happen there. But we shall see if anything comes about it. This is going to be a long fight, Steph. It seems clear. Yeah. This is a long fight that we're in stock for, but I'm very grateful Steph is here. Go support Steph the Alternate if you haven't already. We're not done just yet, but I am going to try and clip some sense of this because it's a long video. But I want to make sure we got this out there because I think it's important you know what's going on. A lot of cover-up is happening right now. A lot of distractions happening out there with Jamie Lynn, this book, and so much more. But it's imperative we keep our eyes on the prize and keep directing whatever we can, your eyeballs and the media, on the stuff that matters, which is this headline that's all over the fact that, yes, former special agent conclude Jamie Lynn surveilled Britney's bedroom, that they corroborates claim that he's been spying on her illegally, criminally. This isn't okay stuff, guys. This isn't okay stuff. Britney's not erratic and crazy. Her dad and her family are criminals. That's what needs to be mentioned here. Again, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for me. Hit the bell for all alerts. Do it over to Steph the Alternate as well. Leave a like, leave a comment down below. We're going to read your comments and get to some other questions as we wrap up the show, but I'm just putting an end card here on my replay. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're watching live, don't go anywhere. We're not done just yet.